for all the recruiters out there, for the job seekers, but especially for recruiters, something I've noticed, yes, and yes, there are more recruiters slash creators emerging now on LinkedIn, but there's still a lot of the TA world that don't even touch that side of things.
Right.
Obviously, you have done really well with it, and you've seen benefits from it. My question to you is, now maybe you can give our audiences a little context to start with. What kind of got you
Yeah.
into deciding to content create? What have you found to be really successful? What benefits have come
Mhm.
from it?
Mhm.
Just share your story with us.
All right. So I started blogging 15 years ago. Feels like a long time. And I remember one of my friends was like, "Oh, you should check out this site. There's the recruiting blogs, and it's like an online diary, and you can just like go write stuff, and nobody cares." I'm like, "Oh, that seems kind of interesting." So I just started like kind of, well, this happened today, and this is how I feel about it. So I just kind of like started sharing my story and like almost this online diary kind of model, and then people started reacting to it, and people were like, "Oh yeah, I had the same experience," and "Oh yeah, well, did you try this?" And it opened up my world to like this massive recruiting family, as weird as that sounds, outside of my immediate circle of influence. And I'm working for a very tiny company. Nobody's heard of me. I don't know anybody. They don't know me. And that really kind of opened up to like, holy cow, there's like this massive brain trust out here that I could start tapping to learn. And it goes back to curiosity, right? Always being a
Mm-hmm.
lifelong learner, always wanting to improve. So it started there, started going to conferences, started getting asking to speak at conferences, and it just snowballed. And I realized I had like kind of this tipping point about probably 10 years ago or so, where I went from thinking, holy cow, I'm the student in the back row furiously taking notes because I'm learning from these intellectual giants, to realizing I'm the one with something to say.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
I actually have knowledge and talent, and I've worked really hard, and I've done. And so there was this almost this light bulb moment of like, people want to learn from me. Oh my, how did that happen? So
Yeah.
then my
Yeah.
content started pivoting a little bit. And then there's this little voice in the back of my head, little 2-year-old Amy, you might have saw on the internet recently in a post I shared, that was saying, remember when it was you? Remember when you were the job seeker that didn't know anything, that didn't have resources, that didn't have a resume, that didn't. And I realized as I'm looking at all of this recruiting stuff, nobody's talking to the job seeker.
Mm.
There's
Mm.
there's a lot of people talking to job seekers. I shouldn't say that. But from where I was sitting, I'm looking around and I'm like, okay, I can learn how to write a Boolean string. Yeah, yeah. And okay, I can do this talent advising stuff. Okay. Who's helping the job seeker? Oh, the guy that's charging $6.99 for a networking template. I don't have
Mm-hmm.
$6.99. I'm sure other people don't too. So it seemed that there was a gap
Mm.
from where I was sitting for the average person
Mm.
who's
Mm.
just a soccer mom in Kansas and just wants to get a better job. And so I started writing content around that. I wanted to just,
I
as
love
best I
that.
could, take the mystery out of this ridiculous process, because we all know it's
Mm.
ridiculous in
Mm-hmm.
most cases and for
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
reasons.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to just help, first of all, remove some of the unnecessary fear. We got a lot of boogeymen in TA, right? ATS robots and whatnot. But I also wanted to just demystify the process. It's not about giving people the right answers. I will never be the creator that's like, this is how you do it. One easy hack to do
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. Nope,
Yeah.
that's not me. Let me give you the questions to ask.
Mm.
Let me give you the high level concepts. Let me give you the direction to go. Let me give you the roadmap so that you know how to then go and ask the right questions of the right people. So that will forever be my guiding light. And now as my children are getting older and getting up and out and moving into their first retail jobs and college and professional jobs and things like that, I give the internet the same advice I give my children.
Mm.
I love that.
Internet listens, but
Yeah.
that's how
Yeah.
much I would not tell you to do something that I would not sit down and tell my child to do. That's how seriously I take this, because I feel like when you're someone who has, and we're all this person, right? worked so hard and achieved so much and reached a level of success. We can't hoard that knowledge. We shouldn't hoard that. And who does
Right.
that? So if we can just take a couple hours a week or a couple hours a month, whatever, and just pay that back a little bit, talk about being a good human, right? I mean, that's the example I want to set for my kids.